Hello out there, Atlanta. What's up, Innocence Network? How's everybody doing out there? Man, in New York, we do it much, much better than that. How's everybody doing out there? That's what I'm talking about. So, first of all, I want to welcome everybody here, the exonerees especially. Give yourselves a round of applause. And family members, advocates, social workers, lawyers. How about the lawyers? How about a round of applause for the lawyers? I want to welcome everybody watching on Facebook and Twitter and whatever the hell you get your social media on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to play a little game called Prove Me Wrong, okay? And anybody that can prove me wrong, I'm going to give $20. And since there's about 1,000 people here, that could get expensive. So, I have a theory that this group here is the most incredible gathering of the most incredible people doing the most incredible work of any place, anywhere in the world. And as proof, I'm going to offer you the fact that the energy that we generated this weekend went all the way back to New York, where yesterday the governor signed the discovery reform bill that took New York from the worst to the first in terms of discovery bills. And I don't want to single anybody out, but Rebecca Brown, you know who you are, you know what you did. There she is. Yup. That's right. So, with that said, I'm just really, really honored to be a part of this movement. I am humbled every day, and I learn so much from all of you. So, thank you for letting me be a part of this journey. And since we have such an incredible group of people here, the only thing I could think of, because actually most people don't even realize this anymore, but I am in the music business, the only thing I could think of was to bring the most incredible band that I know. And so I'm about to introduce you to a band, and this is a band of 4 brothers from Atlanta, and they were discovered by my own son, Michael, who's here somewhere. And so this is truly a family affair. And now I know you guys are going to freak out. This is going to be, you're going to talk about this for a long time, the first time you saw this band, because they're going to be on the Grammys. So please help me, join me in welcoming Hero the Band.
Thank you so much, Jason. You're too kind. First of all, I want you guys to just give yourselves a round of applause, right? So we're gonna do a couple numbers for you. Yo, feel free to get on the green grass. There's so much space right here. Get up, let's celebrate. This is a celebration for you. It's not about us up here, it's about you. It's about freeing our minds, it's about justice, it's about a sense of free. It's about getting this, you know, taking charge, getting our lives back, right? There we go. You can sit, you can stand. Be as free
Shake your
as
booty.
you could be as free as you want to be. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. We are the same spirit. We are all the same. We are all one, right? Hey. And we can clap just like this. Let's go. It's a celebration. Here we go. Come on.
Johnny said he wants to be a star. Pop starred him a loser cause he living out his car. Nobody expected him to ever get this far. Now he's selling out arenas, man, he's living pretty la la la. Had to lose my friends, cause none of them understand me. Was a disaster from the start. Gotta be who you are. You gotta be who you are. Don't let the voices of life deter you. Everybody's got it off in to think about my plans, 'cause my traumas made me who I am. I'm a solo journeyman, and I had to lose my friends, 'cause none of them understand me. Was a disaster from the start. Gotta be who you are. Gotta be who you are. Don't let the voices in life deter you. Everybody's got it all figured out for you. Let the people shout, let the people shout. Whoa, they don't even know what they talk about. Don't let the voices in life deter you. Here we go, let's go. Don't let the chance, 'cause you only get one shot. Don't let your chance, took a lot to get where you are. The final dance, not afraid of being left off. You got this. You're running to your dreams, you as close as can be. You've been running to your dreams, you as close as can be. You've been running to your dreams, you as close as can be. Close, close as can be, close as can be. And I had to lose my friends, 'cause none of them understand me. Was a disaster from the start. Gotta be who you are. You gotta be who you are. Don't let the voices in life deter you. Let's go. Everybody's got it all figured out for you. Let the people shout. Let the people shout. Whoa, they don't even know what they talk about. Don't let the voices in life deter you. Let's do get crazy. My friends, 'cause none of them understand me. Was a disaster from the start. Gotta be who you are. You gotta be who you are. Voices in life deter you. Everybody's got it all figured out for you. Let the people shout, let the people shout. They don't even know what they're talking about. Don't let the voices in life deter you.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, this is my baby girl. She's like, who is this? Yeah, that's my little daughter right there. Those are her uncles right here, yeah. So she got all the energy in the world. They're next. Y'all are the future, for sure. So like I said, give yourselves a round of a hand one more time. So we're gonna keep it going. One more song for you, it's called Back to Myself. This is our lead off single, so yeah, let's have a celebration. Keep it going.
You got me feeling like I can fly. Take form and reshape the earth. Kick back to live my life again. I'm getting back to myself. I'm getting back to myself. I'm overgrown. Passions that turn the lights back on. When everyone said I was wrong. Ooh. First time, this time I'ma get it right. So no cage, no break.
sure you're happy. Life flash, you're not alone, alone, alone. Yes, you got me feeling like I can fly. Take for me and shake the earth. Get back to live my life again. I'm getting back to myself. I'm getting back to myself. Back to myself. I'm getting back to myself. And we can all just clap. Just a little bit. Keep it claps going. Keep it going. So y'all hear we said, don't stress. You're finding your way home. Because you're right where you're supposed to be. It's not about what happened in the past, but it's what's happening right now. It's about freeing our minds, coming together, challenging the government to be in this very position. So we can all repeat, don't stress, you're finding your way home. Y'all got it? You got it? You got it? Here we go. 2, 2, 3, sing. Don't stress, you're finding your way home, finding your way home. Don't stress, you're finding your way home, finding your way home. Finding your way home. Want to thank you all so much for having us. We really appreciate y'all love. And like I said, just continuously be free. Right now, you're right where you're supposed to be. And let's make it a positive one, all right? So give yourself a round of applause. Thank you so much, guys. Y'all are awesome.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank y'all for being here again. As y'all know, I'm from New York, and where I'm from, whenever we do a rally, we make some noise. So first I want to start chanting Innocence Network. And when I say innocent, I want y'all to say network, all right? But I want y'all to say it as loud as that band, because that band was loud, all right? We want Georgia to know that we out here. So I'm going to say innocent. Innocent. What do we want? What do we want? When we want it? That's right, y'all. What do we want? Who are we? Network. So I want to thank y'all for participating in that. That's what we do. We make noise. Georgia, we here. We here to fight for the innocent. We're not going away, America. Too many people are being locked up for crimes they didn't do. We represent that. We for real about it. We're going to do it until we die. So civil rights, human rights, and with that, I introduce you a modern day hero to me. Someone who fights injustice all over the country, someone who stands for his belief. He's just a phenomenal individual. He fights on all walks of life. And I just want to say that with this brother, we are making a lot of leeway around the country. And I introduce none other than Shaun King. And while I'm introducing him, I want to tell y'all that right around the time I was exonerated in the Bronx, the 42nd Police Precinct of the Bronx set quotas and goals for the number of people each officer had to arrest. And these officers embraced this illegal quota system, rounding up primarily black teenagers for crimes they did not commit. These teenagers was held for weeks or months, even years, before the charges were eventually dismissed. Shaun's piece exposed in my hometown an incredible miscarriage of justice. We spent the last 2 days at the network conference talking about the presumption of innocence, but that's something many people in this country don't enjoy. So with that, I'm thrilled to introduce Shaun, and we're going to fight for justice forever.
Yo, put your hands together for Derek one time. Yeah, Derek is one of my heroes. And, you know, people call Derek one of the best jailhouse attorneys in America, but the truth is he's helping exonerate people all over the country. Yeah, let me take this off. Put your hands together for Derek one more time. It's good to be here with each and every one of you. Before I begin, I just want to say I love you all so much. This is a righteous community of men, women, and children. There's so many exonerees that are here, and I admire your courage, your tenacity. I look up to you. Many of you are my peer heroes, and I see so many of you and have gotten to meet so many of you whose story I've been able to write about and tell, and so it's an honor for me to be in your presence. The tenacity and the determination that it takes, not just to be wrongly accused, but to be wrongly convicted and even spend a single day in jail. It's really a miracle that many of you are alive and have made it here to this moment. Many of you having spent years and years of your life in prison for something you didn't do. And so we honor you. We believe in you, and it's one of the reasons that I love being here with the Innocence Project. There's really nothing like the Innocence Project in the country, and many of you receive support from the Innocence Project, but there are many of you that are here that are leading your own organizations and doing your own work. And for a few minutes, I want to tell a couple stories about some of the work that I've done, and I want to share a lesson with you about how we make change happen in this country. Many of you don't need me to say this, but particularly for those of you that may just be guests who just showed up. Also, there are people that are watching us right now on Twitter and Facebook. It's being shared via the streams from the Innocence Project. Many of you may not fully understand just how complicated America's justice system is. And many of you that were with me in my session earlier today, you know, I feel wrong even calling it a justice system. Like that's not, shouldn't even really be the name of what this system is. It's a system, but there's very little justice that comes through it. And in 2014, I was actually living in Southern California, and I was doing work that was totally different than what I do now. I wasn't verified on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. I was actually a director of communications for an environmental charity in Southern California called Global Green. And at that charity, I did work that was quality work, but it wasn't like the work that I felt called to do. But I received a Facebook message, and it sounds crazy to say this. I received a Facebook message in July of 2014 that really changed the entire trajectory of my life. A buddy of mine that I went to college with right here in Atlanta, I went to Morehouse College here in Atlanta, and a buddy of mine that I went to college with sent me a message, and he had just found a YouTube video rather of a man being killed by police on a random street corner in Staten Island. And 5 years doesn't sound like that long ago, but so much has changed in this country over the past 5 years. And when he sent me this video in 2014, there had never been a viral video of police brutality. Like, that's how much things have changed. Since 2014, we've horribly seen dozens and dozens of these types of videos. And he described for me what was in the video. I didn't click on the link yet. And he said, Shaun, there's a middle-aged black man on the street corner in New York, and the police are coming up to him, harassing him, and he's telling the police, I don't know who you think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I didn't do what you're saying I did. Just please leave me alone. We found out later on that this man had been harassed by police for years and years and years. He had filed multiple complaints against them. And all of a sudden, he's unarmed, nonviolent, just asking the police to give him his space. An officer named Daniel Pantaleo comes up behind the man and puts what my friend described as a UFC-style chokehold on the man, and chokes the man and wrestles him to the ground and continues to choke him. And he says, Shaun, I hadn't seen the video yet. My friend says, Shaun, you can hear the man yell out, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. He said, Shaun, the man yelled that out until he died, right there on that street corner. I don't know about you, but where I worked at the time, like, I didn't know what my coworkers would think if I clicked on that link. And so I waited until the people that were sitting next to me left for lunch, and I clicked on that link. And I'll confess to you that I thought there was going to be more to the story than my friend said in his message. Like, I couldn't rationalize in my mind that there was an unarmed, nonviolent man who just got choked to death, and he never fought or did anything. I clicked on that link, and it was the man that we later came to know as Eric Garner. July 17th, 2014, literally being choked to death by Officer Daniel Pantaleo. Eric didn't even deserve a ticket. He certainly didn't deserve to even have anybody put their hands on him. And I had a thought that made sense to me now. It made sense to me then, rather, but it sounds dumb now. I had the thought, if I can share this video, somebody's going to see this video and understand how unjust this is, and we're going to get some justice in this case. So I figured out how to download the video from YouTube and post it to my Facebook page. And I just wrote a detailed description on how the chokehold had been banned in New York for almost 15 years at the time, and how this was a grave injustice. I didn't even know the man's name yet. Well, that video ended up being shared millions and millions of times, and by the end of that week, there were protests in New York and all around the country with people chanting, I can't breathe. 3 weeks later, I got a text message that there was a teenage boy who had been shot and killed by police that was laying in the middle of a street outside of St. Louis in a town named Ferguson. And a buddy sent a live stream video to me. And this was live as it was happening. And I saw a teenage boy laying in the middle of the street, blood flowing down the street. And what I remember from that video is just the mourns and the cries and the wails from the family members of the young man that was there. He had just graduated from summer school just 2 weeks before. And if you've ever seen a picture of Mike Brown with a red Cardinals hat, he had a white shirt and a red Cardinals hat. If you ever see that picture, that was from the previous weekend. He was the best man at his father's wedding. And I had the thought, Eric Garner had just been killed 2 to 3 weeks before that. I had the thought, like, oh my God, police in this country are killing people every 2 to 3 weeks. The next day, we learned that a young man in Ohio named John Crawford had been shot and killed by police at a Walmart in Ohio. And many of us all over the country realized that American police weren't killing people every 2 to 3 weeks. It wasn't even every 2 to 3 days. We learned in a couple of months that it was about every 8 hours. 2 to 3 times a day, every single day, 365 times a year. But there had never been any databases created to track and manage that. And so we started organizing all over the country. And people call that movement the Black Lives Matter movement, but really it was just people trying to fight for justice for their families. It was people who had suffered just a grave injustice, just like many of you have experienced. And we started protesting and organizing all over the country, all around the world. And for the rest of 2014, for most of 2014, from July to December, police brutality was really the #1 story in the world. And you could not tell me that as we organized and fought for these families, you could not tell me what was about to happen was going to happen. I made a mistake that I've just now really gotten the courage to talk about publicly. I came to know many of these families, and many of them whose names you may not have heard of. There was a young brother right after Mike Brown was killed named Ezell Ford in Los Angeles that was shot and killed by police. There were over 1,100 people, in fact, in 2014 who were killed by police all over the country. And I met many of these families, and at their living room couch or at their dining room table, as close as we are right now, I would look these families in the face and just say, listen, hang in there, don't worry, we're going to get justice for your family. And I probably told a few dozen families that, listen, hold on, don't give up, we're going to get justice for your family. And there wasn't a single part of me that thought I was exaggerating. There wasn't a single part of me that thought I was overpromising something that I couldn't deliver. Because, we were pouring our heart and soul into fighting for justice in these cases. And in December 2014, we found out that none of these families would get justice. Not Mike Brown, not Eric Garner, not Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old boy who was shot and killed just a block from his home playing in the playground in Cleveland, Ohio. Not John Crawford, Ezell Ford. In fact, with over 1,100 people shot and killed by police in 2014, not a single officer, zero, none of them were held responsible, even in the most egregious cases. And what I learned is what many of you learned, was that police and prosecutors work hand in hand to make sure that justice is hard to come by for certain people. 2015, we continue fighting for justice for Freddie Gray, for Sandra Bland. In 2016, we fought for justice for Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. And do you know how many of those families got justice? None. None of them. Even in the most egregious, horrible cases, not a single one of them got justice. And I'm going to tell you the truth. In 2016, I hit a wall where I said, listen, I can't keep telling these families, hold on, hang in there, we're going to get justice for your family. And it caused me to revisit, what does it actually look like for us to achieve justice? What does making change actually look like? And there are 4 things that I learned, and it's 4 things that I think all of us can apply, and I want to share it because these lessons were hard-earned. The first thing that you need to make change is deceptive. And it's deceptive because we often have it, and it makes you think you're a lot closer to change than you really are. The first thing that you need to make change is you need people, and they need to be highly energized. And listen, energy comes in many forms. Energy can be frustration, it can be anger, it can be faith, it can be hope. To make change happen, you need people, and they need to have energy that can be sustained. I don't mean just for a day or a week. Many of you have experienced it. It's hard to come by energy that can last for years. But to make change happen, you need energized people. Now, what's deceptive about that is we often have that. That's what we have when we have a march, when we have a rally, when we have a protest. We have energized people, and it can often make us think we're a lot closer to change than we really are. But the truth is, having energized people is just the first thing that you need. The second thing you need is you need people, and they need to be highly organized. Now, the struggle with that is we are often highly energized but poorly organized. Let me break it down for a second. Something about technology in 2019 gives us the impression that we're more organized than we really are. Listen, joining a Facebook group does not make you organized. Listen, collecting email addresses and phone numbers, that's not organization. And hear me, join the Facebook group, create the Facebook group, collect email addresses and phone numbers, but that's not the sophisticated level of organization that we're going to need. Let me give you 2 examples of what I think it means to be deeply organized. Being deeply organized would mean knowing what the people around you are good at. Derek, who introduced me, has helped exonerate over a dozen people just through sheer determination and hard work and studying the law. And here's the thing. If all I had was Derek's email address, that doesn't tell me that. If all I have is Derek's phone number, that doesn't tell me what he's skilled at, what he's passionate about. And a deeper level of organization is finding out what the people around you, what they're skilled to do and what they're passionate to do. And in your organization, if you don't know that yet, then you're not as organized as you should be. Here's another deeper form of organization. Understanding who the people you're connected with, who they know that might be able to help you. Like, let me tell you what that looks like. So say everybody on the grass right here, say we decided that we want to get deeply organized. What I would ask you to do is first, for every person on this grass to tell me the skills that you have that we can count on. You're good at something. What is it? I want to know it. The second thing that I want to know is who do you know that might be able to help us? And we would create an exhaustive list of every person you know that might be able to help so we could tap those human resources. I found that out the hard way. There was a case in Baltimore, actually, that we were fighting for, and there were a group of us that were fighting for change, and we didn't even know that our group had the relationships that we needed because we never took the time to get to know each other on that level. So you need to understand what are the skills in the room and who do the people in the room know. There are 4 things you need to make change. You need organized people. You need energized people. Here's the third thing. You need a plan that's as sophisticated as the problem you're trying to solve. Now, many of you here, particularly all of you exonerees and those of you that have been fighting to help get people exonerated, you've come face to face with this. The justice system is amazingly complicated. And sometimes we bring plans that are way too simple to highly complicated problems. Let me unpack that for a second. We can't reduce all of our problems to racism. Racism is real. It's a problem. But if you think your whole problem is racism, then you don't understand the complicated nature of the justice system itself. Racism may manifest itself in every level of that system, but we need to understand, how do we address prosecutors? Just a second ago, we were talking about how horrible so many judges are across the country. And listen, racism plays a role, but how do we change who the judges are? How do we change who the prosecutors are? How do we change the very nature of who the police are and what they do? There's a young man here, Pedro, right here in the white t-shirt. Just wave everybody for a second. Yeah. Pedro, truthfully, Pedro is not a one-time exoneree. Pedro has been consistently harassed, charged, and jailed by the NYPD now over a dozen different times. And has had to be literally has been exonerated from each and every one of those charges. He's a teenager. He's literally spent most of his childhood at Rikers and in jail bouncing around because police and prosecutors and judges were working together to keep young people, particularly in the Bronx and the 42nd Precinct, down. And if we don't understand the complicated nature of that system, we can't solve it. Often what happens is we are energized and organized, but our plan is not sophisticated enough for the problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? Our plan can't be scribbled on the back of a napkin. Our plan needs to look more like a book to solve the problems that we're facing. The United States has millions of laws. We have over 20,000 jails and prisons. We have over 2,400 district attorneys. In all of those systems, we have thousands and thousands of judges. To change this system, we have to change it city by city, county by county, law by law, judge by judge, DA by DA. That's complicated. And we can't do it, hear me, if everything we do is reactionary. And I say that with love, and I say that with understanding, but one of our biggest challenges is that we often as a people are moving from crisis to crisis to crisis. And hear me, It's hard to strategize on how to solve a problem when your house is on fire. And in our communities and with our people, we're often moving from incident to incident, case to case, and it's hard to think clearly and strategize masterfully when your house is on fire. But we need a strategy that is as sophisticated as the problem. And here's the last thing that we need. We need energized people. We need organized people. We need a sophisticated plan. And it takes money. And what I want to ask, not just for those of you that are here, but for people who are watching online, I want you to dedicate a part of your budget to change. And listen, if social change, if justice is not a part of your weekly and monthly budget, then I don't take you seriously. Now you can say, Shaun, I don't make a lot of money. Listen, change is so important that we should treat it like we treat a utility, like we treat a power bill or gas for our car. And many of you who are doing this work, like there have been times where I ask people, like people will come to me and they'll say, Shaun, you know, what can I do to fight for justice? And one of the first things I ask them is like, what organizations are you donating to? And if they don't have an answer, I mean, I have an answer for them. But, you know, I hate to be religious, you know, but in the Bible it says, you know, where your treasure is, there your heart is as well. And if you're not investing money in exoneration, if you're not investing money into justice, then I do question how seriously you take it. And whether you pour that money into the Innocence Project, or you pour those resources into a local organization, or you may even go real grassroots and actually put money into a particular case, into a particular person's case to help exonerate them or free them. But whatever you do, make it a part of your budget. And here's why I have hope. Even though 2018 was actually the worst year for police brutality ever measured. And don't believe the hype, mass incarceration is still mass incarceration. The United States still has more people in jail and prison, not just than any country in the world, but we have more people in jail than any country in the history of the world. In all of world history, no country has ever had more people in jail and prison than the United States does today. And we've often been giving people the wrong number. You'll hear people say we have 2.3 million people in jail. But the truth is, over the course of each year, about 10.5 million people are incarcerated in this country. 10.5 million people. No other country in the world incarcerates more than 1.5 million people. We are incarcerating 10 times more than any other country in the world, including countries that are significantly bigger than ours. The problem is real. Did you know that 2018 was the worst year ever measured for hate crimes in this country? Like, we are facing real systemic injustice. And here's why I have hope. When I look at our greatest problems, when I look at mass incarceration, when I look at wrongful convictions, when I look at police brutality, I don't see us throwing our best solutions at our worst problems. Most of our worst problems have not gotten energized people, organized people, sophisticated and well-funded plans all at one time. And here's what I believe. When we get all four of those things moving in the same direction at the same time, we will see change. But that's up to us. Here's what I know. Systemic change in this country is much deeper than electing a certain type of president. And if we think in this crowd, listen, as much as I would love to see Donald Trump defeated, most of the problems that we're dealing with the justice system existed long before him. And Democrats and Republicans colluded together to make most of these problems exist. And that's just the truth. Many of you who do this work have come to understand that some of the worst prosecutors and judges in this country are lifelong Democrats. I say that to say that electing a Democrat alone doesn't solve our problems. It's deeper than that. And we have to take ownership of the systemic inequity that we see in this country, and we have to throw our plans at these problems. We can't allow people to define these plans for us. So when we see these presidential candidates or congressional candidates or district attorneys or judges, we have to show them our plan and ask them if they agree to our plan, because they're not skilled or experienced enough to create that plan for us. Listen, I believe in each of you. I care about you. I'm in your corner. If there's ever anything that I can do to help you, I'm not hard to find. On social media, my email address is in all my bios on social media. Just understand, we're stronger together. We're stronger when we fight together. And then the more we can unify and get together, the more change we'll be able to see. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Let's give it up again for Shaun King, y'all. I want to thank Shauna and the Innocence Conference for putting this together. Let's give it up for Shauna and the Innocence Conference. I stand here with Pedro Hernandez as a symbol that we stand with people that's innocent. So while they persecute Pedro, we embrace him. So let's embrace Pedro, everybody. I want to thank all of the lawyers that do this work. I want to thank all of the organizations. I want to thank Jeffrey Deskovich, who was instrumental in getting one of the prosecutor commission done in New York, along with the Innocence Project. Thank you, Jeffrey. To all of you that I don't know that do this work, I want to give you my thanks as well. I want to invite my fellow exonerees back to the stage. That's going to give y'all a message in closing. Let's give it up for them, y'all. Let's give it up. Yes.
Hello again. I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you for having us here. So I have a strong message, so please let me. We know better than anyone that the disparities in our criminal justice system are huge. They are huge, y'all. Our inability to do everything is not an excuse to do nothing. We understand what it felt like to have our lives from us while we were still breathing. 56 years ago, Martin Luther King wrote the letter from the Birmingham jail, and he said, if we wait for justice, it will never come. We can't wait anymore. We have to fight. We have to fight together. So my call to action to you all, somebody leveraged their privilege for us. A stranger gave us their voice. So it's time for us to leverage our privilege for others and fight. We have to fight.
Thank you. This is a really hard road that we've chosen to walk, but it's each and every one of us has the opportunity to help save an innocent human life and bring that innocent person home. Let's just get it done.
Hello everybody, Fernando Bermudez. It is the wounded oyster that receives a pearl. We're all wounded in many ways by what's happened through wrongful convictions in our lives and the dysfunction and the pain it creates. PTSD is real, and the wound that we all deal with as a result, particularly the exonerees, is a daily challenge. For me, it's a daily challenge. I almost didn't want to come, but I'm glad I came because now I feel the strength and the power of so many people in this room and the congratulations and the hugs that I've received. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. It is said that a 3-cord rope is not easily broken. My wife and I keep God in the equation as we continue fighting to deal with the effects of PTSD and the detriments that it has on our family. But I want to leave you with the fact that we're not alone in this. We're all in this together. We're all wearing shirts, most of the same color, because there's a unity within us, an understanding and the pain that happens through the injustice of wrongful convictions. And I just want to encourage you to continue attending the events, continue encouraging each other, and remember that we're stronger together rather than alone. Thank you.
Today is the day. Now is the time. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, but what you do right now makes a difference. We can make a change. All you have to do is just believe. I'm going to read a poem that I wrote. I wrote it in November of 1999. Let me correct that. I'm looking at the wrong date. I wrote it on October 19th, 1998. This was before I ever was freed. I got free in June of 1999. And it's called The Journey. And the reason why I want to read this is because for many of you new exonerees that just got out within the last year, you're just starting your journey. Your life is starting over. This is the beginning of a new journey, a new chapter in your life. And the poem goes like this. As I walk through the gates, I see the many dates of all the travelers that have passed this way. The journey's been long and a hard traveled one, but the end is soon to be near. I travel by light, even at night, with a warmth that feels so near. My goal is by choice, led by a voice that tells me it's not all in vain. Though my feet at times grow weary, if I fail, I pay dearly, for death is just a few knocks away. So I reach for the prize, brought with a price that I can never repay. That I can never repay. And I set my free gift as the road comes to a close and a new chapter of life begins. And the reason why I read that poem to you is because a famous author named Norman Vincent Peale once said, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. You can do it, we can do it, and we're going to do it.
我只有一句话，我希望所有的平凡者，他的身心灵都能够获得真正的自由。
I have only one sentence to give you all. May all exonerees be truly free. Thank you.
But as y'all know, in closing, I want to end how we started, right? So who are we? Innocence what? Innocent what? And you know I'm from Brooklyn, so I got to put something in here, right? Public Enemy, baby. What? Fight the power, y'all. Fight the power. Thanks for coming. We love y'all. Innocent Network, we doing it.